I'm Yaniv Altshuler, founder and CEO of Metha.AI. I'm also a researcher at MIT, and for the past 20 years, I've been studying artificial intelligence. But today, we're going to talk about cows and how to make them go green. Cows burp a lot, and the reason that cow burps are so interesting is that they contain a lot of methane. And methane is a very potent greenhouse gas. In fact, if we take the global cow population and treat them as a country, they would rank as the second largest, most polluting country after China. And the thing is that it's not just carbon that is released to the atmosphere, but also whenever a cow generates a lot of methane, it significantly interferes with its milk production. So the farmer sees the effect immediately on their bottom line, the farmers, the dairies, and the environment gets a lot of methane. Now, this problem is not new. It has been studied, and there is a variety of feed additives in the market that try to mitigate it. The problem is that currently there isn't any way of predicting which additive should be given to each herd. So if I'm a farmer and I have a herd, there is a variety of products out there in the market, and I have basically no idea which one to use. And on average, it means that the efficacy that farmers see is just about 30% of the actual efficacy that was proven in ideal conditions. And this is why, at the end of the day, almost nobody uses these additives, and we have cows that burp and create lots and lots of methane. And as you've seen before, it's about 18% of the total greenhouse gas emission, and a significant influence on the farmer's bottom line. Our team has developed a technology that can predict for each farm, for each herd, what is the best feed additive that should be given to it in order to maximize the amount of emission reduction that we can achieve and bring it up to 3 times than just arbitrarily using some additive. And the way it works is by analyzing the gut microbiome. In other words, the microbes that live inside the cow's gut. We take a small sample, 15 cows from each herd, a small sample of cows. We take a sample of the microbiome, send it to genetic sequencing, and then we run our predictive analytics engine, our microbiome analytics, on the genetic information that is coming back. And we can predict for this specific herd what is the best additive that should be given to it. And the effect is that we can, as I said, double or even more than this, the reduction of the methane. We can increase the milk yield, and also the milk that is produced is shown to be even healthier. It contains more fat, less inflammatory cells, and in general, it also makes the cows happier. So the dairies and the farmers benefit from an increased yield. We get a significant reduction in emission, and cheaper. Now, the way we do it, you can see here quickly. This is an example of our veterinarians and the operation team that takes a microbiome sample. And already today, we have the world's largest repository of this kind of data, hundreds of cows from which we have taken a microbiome sampling. And the way we measure the methane is also unique. We use very accurate methane detectors that can measure in parts per billion. And we measure on an individual level each cow in the field test. This is how we can show the actual decrease in emission. We're currently working with 20 beta sites, all of them currently in Israel. The goal of this work with the beta sites is to show the efficacy that we can indeed achieve on large scale, hundreds of cows. We have just recently been accepted to the Dairy Farmers of America program. It's a very selective program, 5 companies each year. And the goal of this program is to take companies from our stage, small pilots, to US scale deployment. So we are all very exciting. And I'm going to be in Kansas and Nashville, places that I've never been yet. But learning about the US dairy industry and seeing how we can deploy our solution on large scale in the US. Value proposition, as I said, is threefold. For the farmers, we allow them to produce more milk, higher well-being of the cow, lower mortality rate. For the dairies, we enable them to decrease their methane emission. The dairies are accountable for the methane that they produce, not just on their own, but upstream and downstream, what is called scope 3 emission. And in exchange, what we get, and this is what I didn't mention before, we get the rights to the methane reduction. So basically, we tell the farmers, we can fund these projects for you. You don't need to pay anything for these additives. In exchange, what we get is these carbon credit rights, which you would not use anyway, because a farm cannot assume on its own this process. And for the dairies, we enable them to get a higher emission reduction with the same budget, while also increasing their milk yield. So basically, everybody wins, and as I said, the cows are even happier and healthier. What we would appreciate is help with finding large dairies in Europe and the US, as well as large farms that we can deploy our solution at. So if you have a farm or a dairy, or you work with partners in this space, we would really love to hear. So thank you.
Thanks, Yaniv. Great. Can you tell us a little more about the stats and like what changes or increases you've seen?
Yeah, we actually just started to receive the results, and the results are really impressive. In one farm that we've analyzed, we have seen 50% reduction in emission, which is almost twice than what is published by the additives today. And we've even seen a slight increase in the weight of the animals. So this supports what we already know from the literature, that when you reduce methane emission, this energy that is contained in the methane staying within the cow, it actually helps the cow become healthier, bigger, produce more milk, and so on.
And just briefly, what would you say is your core technology?
We are in the predictive analytics space. We don't develop new additives. We don't develop anything in biology or sensors. We use anything that is off the shelf. We can predict which product should be used by each farm, enabling them to get a higher efficacy in the same price, so producing more milk, cheaper, healthier milk, and have happier cows.